Human design is not a box, it's a baseline. Hi everyone, I'm Melinda Van Fleet and it's a solo podcast episode today. I felt really inspired after speaking to my very good friend Leslie yesterday. She had some human design questions for me and they were really valid questions that I helped her see through that I think can be shared with everybody, to be really honest, because over the years, I've really noticed, and I'm not the only one, that human design has kind of gotten a bad rap. And I honestly think it's just from a place of confusion and really understanding the difference between what comes naturally and what needs more energy makes all the difference in understanding your chart. So the conversation with my friend, what she asked me was about the fact that their chart pulled that she's a generator, but she also felt in line with being a manifestor. And in that, I shared an example from 2023 when I had a team of 5 here in the Keys, and we did workshops. I think it was about a 6-month contract. So we did workshops like every other week or so, and then each of the team members came to my house on a few occasions for energy sessions and human design readings at a personal level. And what I learned from having a team was it was so clear with a deep dive and then comparing all of them in a positive way, because there's nothing wrong with how you are designed, like it's all good, that the person that was the manifestor on the team, it was very clearly evident that his gift and what he was better at was not necessarily tasks. And he would get angry when he had to do too many tasks. So the team leader, her name is Danielle, is an incredible human in general, just amazing. She's actually, I feel like, an angelic human. And once we shared that with her, she just shifted the roles within the team, gave the generator on the team, who loved doing tasks, more tasks. And, sorry, my printer's going off. Sorry about that. And gave him more of an overseer role. They were all managers and they were all fine with that. But the trick is it didn't mean that he couldn't do tasks, and it didn't mean that the generator couldn't also be an overseer. It was just that it was more naturally aligned. It was the easier path, right? And for a lot of us, we try to do a harder path that may not be aligned. We may be trying to compare, do something that the neighbor's doing, and it's just a harder path. So the great thing about human design is it just kind of gives you like this little roadmap that it's actually not little, it's quite complex in my opinion, because when you get into gates and channels, which is the stuff I love to dig into with my clients, that there's more intricacies. But in general, you're given this like nice blueprint that you can be like, oh gosh, that's me. I wrote about human design in my book, Life and Love Lessons, chapter 10. I whipped out my book. I wrote Obsessed with Human Design. So my books came out in 2021, so quite a long time ago, in my opinion. 5 years seems like 20. And I wrote about how my whole life, my mother would make kind of jabs at me about how I liked to be busy. She was always like, there's no reward at the end of the day. If you're really busy, you should slow down. And I love to be busy. I thrived off of it. Every piece of being a retail buyer was a very checklist type experience. I love that as a generator. I loved being a waitress as a generator because my mind just works like a checklist and I get stuff done. I love helping our sport fishing business because there's so many things that we have to get done, even just around the house. Like, I love it. So I had this like doubting myself before I found human design. I was like, well, should I pay attention to my mother and slow down? But then I felt horrible. And I could also measure myself when I was in the corporate world, when there were slow times, especially during the holidays, like the phone wouldn't ring as much, there wasn't as much to do, lots of people took vacation. If I didn't have a lot to do, I went crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get out of this office. This is horrible. So I totally thrive off of being busy versus like a projector who, if they're super busy, they tend to get stressed out. And so for me, I was like, this doesn't make any sense that my mother is like on me all the time. So I kind of ignored her, which I was glad for that. But anyhow, but where I'm going with this is once I learned about human design and that I was a generator, I was like, well, that makes sense. I'm an Energizer bunny. I've always been an Energizer bunny. This is how I go through my day. I'm really good. I never worry about burnout. It just doesn't happen to me because part of being a generator is when you're just done, you're just done. So when I'm just done for the day, I go to bed. It's all good. I'm fine. I'm very good at regulating all of that. Never been an issue. So unless it's imposed in the corporate world, it was, but whole other story. But as like a independent business owner, like I can manage my day and I'm fine. So listening to others ends up being a challenge. And so when you understand your own human design, you can block out the noise. You can block out the noise and be like, nope, I'm good. I have my little blueprint here and it's telling me how I best operate in my energy system. I actually believe this to be true. And this is how I'm going to roll. So there's just so much that you can learn about yourself or just get validation. For me, at that time, it was just validation. It was validation that, okay, I operate in this way, and that's fine. So what was so fascinating about talking to my friend Leslie was what happens to so many people is they also have an identity attachment to how they believe they are. And this is in no way to make anyone feel bad at all. And I'll use myself and my husband as an example in a second. But we have an identity attachment to how we believe that we can do all sorts of things. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you study cognitive dissonance, you will also learn a lot about this. And there's just so much in that. I'm just jamming so much on cognitive dissonance right now. I'm like obsessed. And this plays into that because you have what you like do and take action on. So let's say me as a generator, but I also know that I'm creative. So that piece goes more into, let's say, the Manny Jen lane. And my husband is super creative and he's a Manny Jen. So what I've had to learn, even though it wasn't a hard road, I was very intuitive about the process, but what I had to really learn and see was maybe we both have a creative idea for a course or program. So with Good Karma Sport Fishing educational programs, we run programs all the time. We have lots of content, so much content, programs, blogs we do, YouTube videos, podcasts. I mean, it's very robust in terms of content creation. But if my husband isn't feeling it, because he's also emotional, so his solar plexus is closed versus mine is open, he's very emotional. If he's having an emotional day, I can't push him with trying to be creative because he's actually the one that's more energetically aligned to be the creative. And if he's feeling emotional, I need to let him ride his waves and I just go take care of something else. It's like, okay, we'll circle back on this tomorrow. The universe doesn't know time anyways. It's all fine. We'll get it done. We'll get the new course out and it will be fine. He needs his like creative process, right? So then I tend to take a back seat and I'm fine with this and go just into my generator role. So it's really separating out any type of ego or self-judgment that you can't do something. Of course you can do something. Of course I can be a creative lead in our business, and I am. I'm kind of the one who thought of so many aspects of things, and I'm fine with that. But I also understand from an energetic push, where is it pushing and where is it just easier? And honestly, like, why not go the easy route? So the easy route is, okay, fine. I've got plenty of other things to do to keep myself busy and myself happy and myself satisfied versus going frustrated and try to push with him when he's in an emotional wave and needs a couple days to like move through some things, and then he's going to pop out with some creative like idea. And he does it all the time. It's so fun to watch because I get this. I totally get this now. And it's just been just this really cool experience. And when you're living in your self theme, which as a generator and a Mani-Gen, which is satisfaction versus frustration, it just makes everything just easier. And again, why don't you want it to be easy? So it's really looking at, where is it an identity attachment, and also understanding that, our egos don't like uncertainty. So if you're like, let's say the example I just gave with my husband and I, let's say you were me and you didn't know this and you were freaking out. You're like, oh my gosh, we've got to get a new course out there. What's the new idea? What's going on? That is uncertainty, which then creates more frustration in your energy field. And then you end up looping and, oh my gosh, it could just go south. So it will change your life. I'm not kidding. It will change your life. It does not mean you have to operate like this. That's my whole point. It's just like a nice little like baseline. It's not a box, but it is so enlightening. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's just my human design. And you just like live in that. And we're all students of human design. Like there's always so much to learn and there's so much to embrace. And it's just really, really awesome. But again, it's just understanding like what is your natural path versus where are you pushing. And that's why people quit. I wanted to mention too, because when I watched this on YouTube, I was like, this is gold. And, so many people talk about like Taylor Swift, and I'm going to even mention Ella Langley. She's hot. And they are living in their design. And I don't even know their chart. I don't care, honestly, about their charts. I'm not chart reading people. I know there's other people that do that, and that's awesome. What I can just see as a pattern recognition is Taylor Swift. So I'm trying to put the YouTube link in my show notes. But Taylor Swift won the Songwriter of the Year award just a little bit ago. So this is July, I think it was in May. And her speech is just so freaking incredible. I mean, I could watch it like all day long. It's so good. But what she says in her speech is that songwriting has come easy for her since she was a kid. Songwriting has come easy for her since she was a kid. She had to learn all the other stuff. Okay? So that's just life. There's something that we all have that comes easy for us. So I mentioned Ella Langley, same kind of thing. She was on a podcast with Theo Vaughn, great podcast, and she's talking about how, her really learning the mental, and I think she mentioned it like 2 times, like her learning the mental of this business was the hard part for her to learn, right? So here she is, like, she's like one of the top songs. I saw some stats today. It's like up there with, gosh, I wish I could remember, but 14 weeks on, the charts, #1 for, Choosing Texas, which is an incredible song. And she's talked about how her and Miranda Lambert like wrote this song, and that's natural gift. That's a natural talent to be like, oh my gosh, let's go write a song. So, so she's living in the design of being a songwriter and singer, but she had to learn all the other things, the mental She talks about when she cut her bangs, that just, changed so many things. Like, she has such great content out there on like shorts and YouTube and stuff. I think she has such great, like, honest, authentic content. So, it's the same thing. Like, her blueprint, and again, I have not looked at her human design. I don't really want to go down those rabbit holes. That's not me. But in general, she's obviously living in her gift. She's living in her gift. And her gift is in alignment to that and songwriting, and there you go. She's like the number one song. And it's a great song. And I think she's very cool. I think she's like super cool. So anyhow, I hope this sheds some light and some story to this, so people can be grounded in what this really looks like. This is just the energy types. There's so much here. If you do a personal reading with me, I have all the gates and channel information, which is super impactful. I got that because I took classes with Human Design America, and that's really my jam. I love the conscious, subconscious, intuitive conversations around gates and channels. Like, I just love that. I love to dig into all that. But so check out my website, melindavanfleet.com. If you've never pulled your chart, I do have the link there. You can find lots of links out there. Some people have different versions of the charts. The books, I've bought lots of books. The book I recommend is really, in my opinion, the best. This is my opinion. You may disagree with me. That's cool. But that is that. So anyhow, I hope you like this podcast. And again, I'm super appreciative to my friend Leslie for this conversation. And I hope it helps everyone else out there too. Thanks.